Hello and welcome to Frank Bill Performance and Meats. Today we're going to do smoked baby back ribs. So first thing you're going to want to do is get these things nice and dry. Now I'm not doing competition style, so I'm not going to do any trimming or anything. I'm just going to do what people that are amateurs are going to do, and that's pretty much season them and throw them on. Now normally I also take off the membrane back here, but today for experimenting purposes I think I'm going to leave it on and see if it actually does get tough, and if it helps, we'll see. Now first what I'm going to do is take mustard, and you're going to do this because this is going to be a binder. This is going to help your rub stick to the meat. You don't have to do this. Honestly, you don't taste the mustard. I have not noticed any type of change from doing it versus not doing it, but I do think it does help the rub stick. Now I'm using a Southwest hot mustard. Normally when I do barbecue, I like to go for a sweet with heat type of mixture. But again, you're not going to taste the mustard. Now for the rub, I'm doing Cosmos Q's Hot Dirty Bird. You don't have to go too heavy underneath because there's no meat. Flip this guy over. Hit this other side with some more mustard. On this side I'm going to go a little heavier. And that's it. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit for about 15 minutes or so while we get the smoker going. Today we're going to be smoking on my pitboss 820 at about 205 to 220, somewhere in that range. I like to do nice and slow for the first 3 hours just to get a nice smoke, good bark, and then we wrap. So I will see you guys in a little bit. So today I have the smoker in the garage. It's about 15 degrees here and pretty windy in Wisconsin, so I don't want it to mess with my temps a little, too much. Right now we're running at 209 degrees, so that's right where we want it. So let's get these ribs on. You always bunch them up because how you set your meat, that's how it's going to cook. So I like to kind of squish these bones together a little bit. And we'll close this lid, and we'll come check on this in about hour and a half. We'll come see if the rub is starting to set and see if I need to turn it. So it's been about an hour and a half or so since these ribs been on. It's time to come out here and check and see if the rub has set on the ribs, and now would be a good time, if it has set, to spritz it so it doesn't dry out. We got good smoke rolling. We're sitting at about 203 degrees, so we're still right where we need to be for temp. Let's see how these things look. So first what I'm gonna do is try and see if I can rub off, which it's still moist. There's nothing really coming off. So that's telling me that the rub has stuck to the meat. So now would be a good time to I'm actually going to flip this around because the grill has a hot spot towards the back. You can see it's sitting pretty nice. We're starting to get good color. So I'm going to turn this around here, give it a spritz, just that way it doesn't dry out on us. And we will come back in about an hour and a half and see if it's time to wrap. So it's been an hour and a half. Total cook time so far is 3 hours. The smoker's been running about 210 to 225. So now what we're going to do is check color and see if they're ready to wrap. So it looks like we got a nice bark. I don't think the ribs are going to take on any more smoke than they have. If I were to guess by looking at color and time, I'd say these are around 165 degrees or so. So now is a good time to wrap. We're not too concerned about temp right now. It's more about bark. But we're going to wrap these things for about, I'd say, hour and a half or so, and then we'll check tenderness. We'll see you in a bit. So we got these in. I'm going to check temp here. I was kind of guessing around 160, 165 or so. Yeah, we're in the 160s, so that's perfect time to wrap. I don't think the meat's going to take on any more smoke. So I just wanted to show you guys how I do this. Nothing special. I put three slices of butter down. And then I got about a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this nice and tight. We don't want any air getting in there. And now what we're going to be focusing on is getting these ribs tender, fall off the bone. When you do wrap, always put 2 sheets of aluminum foil down because the bones will poke holes. And we have been smoking at 210 to 225 for about 3 hours now. I'm going to guess the ribs probably have another 2 hours or so to go. I'm going to wrap for an hour and a half, and then we'll recheck tenderness. Once they are tender, then we'll work on the glaze. I'm also going to crank the smoker up to about 275 to push through that stall. If I don't wrap these and I keep it open, these ribs would probably take another 3 hours because wrapping it really helps break through that barrier of 165 temperature. See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes since we last checked the ribs. Total cook time so far is 4 hours and 15 minutes. I went out there and I peeked at the ribs, and they look like they are ready for glaze. So let's take a peek. Oh yeah. The aroma from that brown sugar and butter is just phenomenal. See the bones? These bones are your thermometer. Once they start pulling, you can see it right there. That's done. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna flip this over, and we are gonna glaze this and let it sit for about 15 minutes back in the smoke to let that glaze tack up. And then we will let these rest for a few minutes and slice in and see what we got. For the glaze, I'm using Cosmo's Cherry Apple Habanero. A good thing to remember is when you're using a glaze or sauce is to let it come up to room temp, because it's easier to spread it. You don't want to take a cold out of the fridge barbecue sauce and touch the hot ribs. You don't have to go too heavy with this stuff. I would highly recommend this product. It's very thick and gives you that sticky rib. It also helps with not having any brush marks. When you use a room temperature sauce or glaze, you don't see the brush strokes. Obviously, when something's cold, it's thicker. Okay, this here is sauced. We're gonna put it back on the smoke, not in the foil, and let this tack up for about 15 minutes, and then we'll slice into it. All right, welcome back. We put the ribs back in for about 15 minutes to let this glaze tack up, and we went out and pulled it off, and they look pretty good. So let's see what we got. Let's see if I can be careful here because they are pretty tender. That just slices right through. These bones would probably pull right out if I wanted to. Okay, that's probably good for now. Let me, got a little guy stuck here. There we go. So leaving that membrane on doesn't seem to do anything yet. I mean, I cut right through. A nice little smoke ring on there. Look at that bone wanting to pull right out. Oh yeah, they look good. So I'm gonna take a bite and let's see if it's that one bite pull. Cosmos Q. It wins.